Okay, hey guys, welcome to Math Notes. So I think this is pretty much the way that we're going to be doing math from now on. I'm going to be YouTubing the notes here on my iPad, and then what you can do is I need you to follow along with me, and what I also need you to do is I need you to get yourself like a workbook or some paper, because while we're doing these notes, I need you to do some of the try this, and then what you'll do is you'll like pause my teaching here, and when I ask you to do something, you'll try, and then you can unpause it after you finish just to check that your answers are correct. So it's super important that you're following along with a piece of paper, that you're looking at how to do this stuff, that you're making sure that you do things, especially in this unit, the exact way that I'm doing them, because this is absolutely the most essential piece for grade 9. And so if we miss this piece, it's going to be a huge, huge loss. So we need to make sure that we do it together and that you have your book in front of you. So that's kind of how I'm going to ask you to do it for every time. And so, yeah, and so I'm here ready to go. So here we are. So we've done this before. It's not like you haven't seen this before. Obviously, you've done this in grade 7. It's the one-step equations. So today's going to be super easy, but you are going to have some homework. So I do want to show you, though, that I have a certain way that it needs to look, and we're going to get into a little bit more complicated pieces. So here's the deal. Here's what equations look like. 2x equals 3. We know about this. And this x right here, that x means that this means when it's kissing like this, it means 2 times something. This is like a question mark. So we know that, we know how to solve this. We would say, okay, well, 2 times what is 3? Well, actually, we don't know that. We can't figure that out in our heads. This one here, x divided by 3, is basically a division statement, and we need to figure out what this number is divided by 3 equals 5. That one's easy in my head, because I know that 15 divided by 3 is 5, but we'll show you how to do that one. And then this is also an equation right here, x equals 4. It literally just means that whenever you see an x, it's a 4. And this is the more complicated equation, the 2-step. 4y minus 7 equals 3. We'll get there next time, easy peasy, but we're just going to go with 1 steps first. So here's some really important things that you need to know. We're going to look at terms because if you don't know these terms, especially in grade 9 or grade 10, you're going to be hooped. So you're going to see them a lot. So the first word is coefficient, okay? And that is the number in front of the letter or the variable. So right here, the 3 is in front of the x, so the coefficient of this expression is 3. Okay, so super easy, the number that goes in front of the letter. Then you got this word called variable, and that is the letter in the equation, all right? So if we look at this equation right here, we know that the x is the variable, and the variable means that it's a number. It's a secret number that we need to figure out, and so it will fulfill the statement, so 3 times something plus 4 is going to equal 6. So that's what that variable means. The next term here is called the constant, and you see this a lot more in grade 9, but that's the number in the equation that does not change, so it's not attached to a number. And so what we see here is in this equation right here, this plus 4 isn't attached to an x, okay? So plus 4 is just plus 4. It'll always be plus 4. It'll never change. This over here, this 3x, has the ability to change, because when I put like 1 in there, 3 times 1 is 3. So it could be like 3 times 1 is 3, so that number could change. If I put a 2 in there, it could be a 6. If I put a 3 in there, it could be a 9. So this number is not constant right here. This is not constant right here, okay? This is constant, plus 4, because it's not attached to a letter. So you got to know that, okay? So make sure you pocket those, and we'll go over here for how to solve one-step equations. So we've done this again. I know you've seen this. Some of you are like, oh man, this is going to be so easy. But let's just make sure that we understand what it's saying, so that as we get to like way more complicated questions, you can do them. So here's the problem right here. 3x equals 6. This means 3 times something, so 3 times something equals 6, okay? So what times 3 is 6? Well, we already know that's 2, so that's super easy, but you gotta show your work like this. So this is super important right here. So here's what we do first. We take the number that's beside the variable or the letter, and we divide it. We have to put it on the bottom. We don't use divide signs anymore. So as you'll see here, what I did here, right, is I divided by 3, and that's super important. So, and then you can do the opposite thing of what's happening here. So this statement right here is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division, and that's why we divide by 3. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. So we got to divide by 3 on this side. Okay, next we do something called bamming. I call it bamming the bottom, or canceling. So the next thing you do is you cancel the 3 and the 3. Whenever there's a 3 on top and a 3 on the bottom, it equals 1. 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So that's why we can cancel it like that. Okay, so that's important to know. So then we do the math over here. 6 divided by 3, well, we know that that's 2. And so the answer to this equation is 2, right? 3 times 2 equals 6. That's what this is saying. Awesome. So here's some little examples for you to take a look at how I did them, and how you are supposed to show your work. So a lot of times, even in grade 9, people forget what number do I divide by when we're doing this, and you always divide by the number that's beside the letter. So this one, we start with the 10, divide by 10, we go over to this side, and then we get 2. Bam, awesome. Okay, this one's a little bit different, because how do I know which number to divide by? Oh, well, we're going to look for the number or the coefficient that's beside this letter. That's a 7. So we're going to start on this side, bam that, and go over to this side, x equals 3. Over here, we start on this side because the 6 is beside the x. So we take the 6, we put it underneath, divide it, and then we divide 31 by 6. And this one just ends up as a fraction. So that's a good enough answer, no problem. Or you can bring it down to a decimal, 5.1666. So that's how you show your work. It's how you have to do it. You can't do it any way. You can't just give me an answer. You always have to show your work. Else you have to go back and do it again. Okay, so now we're getting to a dividing statement. And so remember what I told you is you're always doing the opposite of what it's asking you for. So x divided by 4 means that it's a number divided by 4 equals 10. So this word divided by is super important, because we've got to do the opposite of divide, and the opposite of divide is multiply. So that's what that says right here. So in order to get rid of the 4 and solve for x, we've got to multiply. This is how you have to show your work. The first step whenever you see a fraction is you've got to, and I'm just going to change the color here, you've got to use brackets. So I always put a bracket around my fraction first. Then you look at the number on the bottom. It's a 4. Well, we need to cancel that 4 out. So we actually need to multiply it by 4. So you stick a 4 up in the top corner, and then we can do the thing that we call bam. So we can bam the bottom. Whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other side, and that is we times 4 up here. And so basically 10 times 4 is 40, and that's the answer. So some people are going to ask me, okay, so why does it work that, so if we look at this again, x over 4 equals 10. So when I'm putting this 4 up in the corner, what the heck am I even doing up there? And this is really important for you to see for grade 9 and for grade 10. So the reason we put the 4 up there is because it's multiplying by 4. And if you see this, 4 times x over 4. Okay, so what is 4 as a fraction? Okay, what is 4 as a fraction? Well, it's 4 over 1. I think I've showed you this before. But if we put a 1 up here and we just erase this x, so it looked like this. 4 times 1 is 4, and 1 times 4 is 4, and that equals 1. So actually up here, when you are putting this 4 in the corner, you're actually creating a 1, which means that you can bam it, because 1 doesn't mean anything, right? So that 1x is just what you have, and anything divided by 1 is the number. So that's why we put the x in the corner, just so that you know if you were wondering. Okay, so first thing we did right here, going through the fraction, we put the brackets around the fraction. You've got to do that first. Second thing you did is you place the number in the bottom in the corner right here. So that's what we did, and we multiplied by 4. Then we bam the bottoms, which is what happened right there. And then we multiplied the 4 to the other side, because whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And we got 40. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Cool beans. So here again is basically me walking you through how to do this stuff. So when you see the fraction, first thing you do is you put the brackets. Second thing you do is you look at the number on the bottom, put in the corner, bam it. Then, because this is dividing, we're doing the opposite, which is multiplying. We multiply by 6, and x equals 48. That's how you do that one. Same thing here. Here's an interesting piece here. Negative 10 is on the bottom. So we need to multiply by negative 10. And so 3 times negative 10 is actually negative 30. So even though this number on the bottom is negative, we still got to multiply by negative. here's a hard question, which is actually a grade 9 question. And I threw it in there because I thought some of you would want to know. What happens if the x is on the bottom now? Well, we're going to do the same thing, the exact same pattern. We're going to put our brackets around our fraction. We're going to put our x up in the corner because it's on the bottom, and we're going to bam it from this side. Then we're going to multiply this side by x. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 20 equals 5x, because 5 times x is 5x. Then you can actually solve it. So you would divide by 5 over here, divide by 5 over here, and you get your answer. So that's a grade 9 problem that you're going to need to remember, but it's not something you'll see too much right now. All right, so that's pretty much basically this deal in solving 1 steps. And so there's a bunch of you tries right here. So this is the time where I want you to pause my video right now, and I want you to go and do all of these questions all by yourself and see if you can get the right answer. After you finish solving all of them, you can unpause the video and see if you did it the same way that I did it and you got the same answer. And then you are going to master the 1-step equations, and we'll be able to move on to 2-step next time. So that's what you're going to do right now. So pause the video right now, do your math questions, and then unpause it, check in with the answers after, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to solve these. You probably already have done that. And so I'm just going to show you what I did here. I'm going to do the opposite of subtract. So I'm going to add 3 to this side of the equal sign and add 3 to this side of the equal sign. And in the end, this is a super easy question. It's just x equals 9. Okay, in this particular question right here, number 2, it says 3x equals 27. Well, I know that this is multiply. So I need to make sure that I do the opposite, which is divide. How do I know which side to divide? I look for the x. I put a 3 there, bam it. Over here, put a 3. 27 divided by 3 equals 9, and I'm good to go. All finished and all good. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put a bracket around this particular question because it's division. Put a 6 in the corner, bam it, times 12 by 6. 12 times 6 happens to be 72, and so that's the answer to that one. Cool. I'm going to go down here. This one, weird. So here's the problem with this one. The x is positive and the 3 is positive. So you're going to have to remove this number from the equation here. So I got to bring that over to this side. So the opposite of 3, it's actually a plus 3. You don't know that, but I mean, it doesn't have a negative, so you know it's positive. So you're going to have to minus the 3 from this side and minus the 3 from this side. Bam this here, and you get x equals 3. So that's how you do a question just like that. This one here has, it's a multiplier because I'm looking at this, and the 9 is beside the x, so that's the number I start with. Divide by 9 and divide by 9. So 243 divided by 9 is 27, and because it's a negative divided by a positive, it's negative 27, so that's the answer there. This one here is important because it's a multiplier, so I got to put this little 31 in the corner, bam it, and I'm going to multiply this by negative 31. So 14 times negative 31 is x equals negative 434. So that's how you do that one. Okay, over here, the negative's on the bottom. Okay, that's okay. I'm going to bring that to the top right here. Bam it. Over here, negative 11. So a negative times a negative is a positive, and so I know that this time my x is going to equal positive 55. Okay, this one right here, I'm going to have to divide because this number is negative 7 right here. So I'm going to have to divide by negative 7 to be able to bam it. So I'm going to have to go over here and divide by negative 7. 378 divided by negative 7 is 54. Okay, so this becomes positive because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and there we go. That's my answer there. And the last one here is, I got to put the 4 in the corner and bam it. Put the 4 there. Negative 19 times 4 happens to be x equals negative 76. And you are done. Awesome. So that's basically how you do all of these problems. It's basically how you do one-step equations. I know you guys will be able to master that super simple. We'll move on to two-steps equations next time. There's some math pages for you to do. Make sure you finish them, and make sure you read the Google Classroom on how to hand them in to me so that we can see that you are all doing your homework and you're mastering this stuff. This is probably, the next 2 units are probably one of the most important units that you're going to do for grade 9, so make sure that you ace this stuff. Even if you think it's simple, make sure that you're getting it in the rhythm. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.